Good evening and welcome to quite a different Premier League preview. Now, we've been doing it the same way for most of the season, but we've got to do it a little bit differently today because, by and large, the Premier League is over. I'm looking at the list in front of me. There's more dead rubbers than an end of season and summer's sale. So we've got to talk about a few other things, which are surely the title race, because the relegation thing is done. I think looking at the league table, it would take a massive swing in goal difference for Arsenal to overhaul Tottenham to get the last Champions League place. So really, aside from the title, there's very, very little to play for. If you're tuning in and you're wondering what we think of West Ham's game against Watford and whether West Ham can climb up into the top 10, we have discussed that on our other video on our other channel. We've actually just finished recording it, but it's there. Just please go and check out at Hammer's chat and you'll see it there. Myself and Geo have given our opinions on the Watford versus West Ham game. All the games kick off at the same time, as is the tradition in the Premier League. I think under normal circumstances, it's so as nobody has any advantage. But as I say, that it's pretty much done. But that doesn't mean that everything is boring, because we've had some pretty exciting things happen, I think, generally for English football in the last few days, Gio.
Yeah, it's also been a surprising few things have happened for English football. You thought, especially Liverpool, overturn a 3-goal deficit against anyone's remarkable. Doing it in a Champions League semi-final is even more remarkable. Doing it against Barcelona is even more remarkable on top of that. I thought, I like a bet, as you know, and a couple of people said to me, what's your bet for the Liverpool game? I said, I'm not touching it. It's a dead game, So, well, I should have just had a couple of quid on Liverpool to qualify just in case. But yeah, it's been good to watch. Even Monday night's game, Man City's game against Leicester was fantastic. And then we had the Liverpool game, then the Spurs game to watch, and then last night I tuned into the Chelsea game, which went to penalties. So yeah, it's been full-on entertainment and success for the English sides.
Incidentally, if you do like a flutter, you might well want to follow Geo on Twitter. You Red Hammer. Red Hammer?
With an 8. Someone's got the Red Hammer. She's not tweeted for about 4 years, and she's not there anymore, but you still can't get it without the 8. I want to hit.
What a bastard. Absolute waste. What's he doing? But if you follow Geo, he does lots of tips, and usually he's far better than leaving the Liverpool. Who could have guessed that? It's not his fault. Yeah, give him a follow. It win you some money, wouldn't you, Geo?
Hopefully.
I thought, I was going to say any better. I don't really care, and I want to find out what your feelings on this before we get into the Premier League per se. But I thought maybe it couldn't get any more dramatic when Vincent Kompany hit that goal. I mean, it was. I thought then we're going to have to flip between Premier League and Champions League, because that's going to be the conversation that we're having. I thought then, as destiny, that's Man City's destiny for him. And you looked at the stats afterwards. Sky Sports were going mad about it, about how he very rarely shoots from outside the box and he doesn't hit the target. What were your thoughts on that, Joe? Because obviously we've not spoken since then.
It was a high pressure game for City, and when you were watching it, Leicester had their tactics bang on, and they were sort of trying to do what Brighton would do, but with better players. And it was working. You could feel the Etihad was getting a bit nervous. You could see a few City players getting rattled, because Vincent Kompany wasn't the first player to shoot from outside the box, and he wasn't the first defender either. Kyle Walker had a pop earlier on that flew miles over the bar, and we all expected Kompany's to do that. And while it was a terrific strike, it was a sign of frustration, if anything. Kompany taking the shot on was his way of saying, well, nothing else is happening, so I'm going to have a pop here. But it was fitting. They deserved the win. And I'm glad they've won, and I'm glad it was him, actually. There's something romantic about it, wasn't it, about Vincent Kompany being the guy that done it. But listen, you get all sorts of tests in the Premier League, especially when you're at the top. You get all sorts of tests, and that was just a different test to Man City. They're overcoming their 13th win in a row, and they had to after. And let's be realistic. Liverpool won 2 nights before against Newcastle with another dubious decision in their favour to get that winning goal. So City done it fair and square, and you could say it was a fluke, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing fluky about it. He hit it clean, it flew in the top corner. Simple.
Well, that's why I thought it was all the more remarkable. What what Liverpool were to then go on and do, because that must have absolutely sucked the life out of them. They would have been watching that. Sometimes players pretend, "Oh, I won't watch it." They were watching. All the Liverpool players were watching. The Man City and Leicester game, of course. They must have thought, "Oh, so to actually get up and do that in the next game, I think is quite remarkable." Funny, we've got Andy Walsh in the chat there, and he said, "Imagine the odds on an All English final after the first leg," meaning obviously taking into account the Ajax and the Barcelona were up in both games. I don't know, but it was absolutely miraculous, and I felt, because I'm not going to lie here, I don't feel the same hatred towards Liverpool that I see from everybody else. Not everybody else, but there's a lot of people who don't like Liverpool, and I understand that, and I understand why. But I'm not the same myself, if the truth be known. I've got very little room in my heart for any other hatred but for Tottenham, if the truth be known. So Liverpool getting through, that was absolutely fine. But I sort of had a little inkling. I thought, no, Tottenham can't, can they? And then for them to go on and do it as well, the difference for me was I got a message telling me that that Liverpool were 2-0 up, and I saw it on the forum. I was on the forum, and we were on hammerschat.com, and we were discussing the Liverpool game and the Champions League game. And by the time I'd actually flicked the telly on, it was 3-0. And I watched the game, and I thought, from that point, I thought it was absolutely amazing. As soon as I heard Tottenham scored, I turned the telly off. Right, you know what I mean? As soon as I saw they scored, I turned the telly off because I thought, no, something's coming here. But it was a miraculous thing again, Geo, from Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, the difference was I think Liverpool deserved it over the two legs. We did the preview a week ago, and we said that Liverpool played superb against Barcelona. It wasn't a 3-0 game, though, when they got beat by Barca. I thought Liverpool were arguably the better side in 3-0 defeat. So it was warranted, and they got everything right against Barcelona. They scored early. They had to score early. But Anfield played its part. The crowd played its part. And, a lot of people say, oh, it's a myth, the Anfield atmosphere, etc. Sometimes it can be quiet, but every ground can be a bit like that. But on Tuesday night, it was this sucked that ball into the back of the net for some of the goals, I think. But it was just fantastic. And Trent Alexander-Arnold is sort of taking on the Steven Gerrard role of being the sort of the local boy about him, if you like. And you know what? You've seen him after the game where he did a lap of honour on his own, and quite rightly so. A young lad is just sort of tactically switched on with that corner at the end. There was nothing fluke about it. He's seen the opportunity. He's switched on. Everyone else on the pitch, including Origi, was switched off. Unfortunately for him, Origi switched on just before the ball got to his feet and put in the back of the net. But it was fantastic. And there was a bit of me that thought, fair play, Liverpool. The reason there's a hatred towards them, in my opinion, is it's a social media thing. It's because their fans don't come across very well. And those fans tend not to be the ones at the game. They tend to be the ones sitting at home at their computer or the television or whatever, banging on and on. It's them that sort of make you... but they got it right. But Spurs, I thought them and Ajax were very evenly matched over the two games and both legs, both halves, etc. What they'd done was remarkable. So to come back down from 2-0 up, and when Liverpool scored in the first, early on in that game, they had momentum. From then on, it was, then the second went in, then we all knew the third was coming. And when the third went in, everything's buzzing, Barcelona down, but Spurs didn't have that. They were 2-0 down at half time. They only had 45 minutes to do it in. It was almost like Liverpool in the Champions League final. They had to come back out. But it was a case of, something, you're going out, at least go out and give it a go. And they gave it a go, and they got their winner. And that's football. This is why football is an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is. Funny enough, you talk about Liverpool fan. We actually got one in the live chat now. He said, we did beat Spurs twice this season, but I feel like Poch has worked us out. I feel like he's been a little bit unlucky. He still thinks that Liverpool should win the game. However, that is the paranoia of a football fan, and you can't help it. You know what I mean? You can't help. They've beaten Spurs twice. They are... How many? What, 20 points above them in the league or something like that? Liverpool should be barrel-chested bowling this game, cocksure that they are going to win it. But if football, it does do funny things to you, and you start getting all mystical and thinking, oh, such and such his name is on the cup. So obviously, Spurs fans are going to be thinking Liverpool's name is going to be on the cup because they haven't spent any money. Liverpool are going to be thinking Spurs' name's on the cup. They will be feeling so crap about what's happening with Manchester City. Which we're going to get onto in a second, Liverpool, Manchester City with the Premier League. And obviously we'll discuss the other stuff less because there's not a lot to discuss, but maybe a little brief overview on how you feel each team have done this season. Obviously, we've got to discuss the Europa League. They've taken a lot of stick. Sarri has taken an awful lot of stick. And I think Emery has taken an awful lot of stick. But it ain't too bad, Gio, when you consider where they've got and where they are. And you've got to put into context that it does give a Champions League place. You win that Europa League, it gives a Champions League place. And that is that makes it a really, really good prize. And you look at Sarri, they're third in the league. They're in the Europa League final. That's a decent season, mate, because nobody's catching Liverpool and Man City, who are just so much better than everybody else, mate.
It's difficult to judge, isn't it? Because I don't like to criticize other people's fans because I think you're the one that pay the money every week. You're the one that turn up every week. Because it's like when people do it, when we're unhappy with West Ham for whatever reason, other fans say, "Why are you unhappy?" And you think, "Well, hang on a minute. What do you know?" So it's a bit like us. So if Chelsea, I can understand Chelsea's disgruntledness sometimes. I was watching the game last night. Some of the subs you done, you did sit there thinking you took off Loftus-Cheek when they needed a goal, 1-1. You took off Loftus-Cheek for Ross Barkley, but he left Kovacic on the pitch, who was on a booking. He left him on. He thought, well, Loftus-Cheek is by far your better opportunity of getting a goal, and you can hear everybody booing. And you just thought, well, you've just killed the atmosphere here, haven't you, with your one substitution? And then Gary Cahill's obviously come out and spoke out about Sarri, saying he's not very good at talking to me, etc. Christensen goes down, has to come off injured, so Cahill takes off his top. But he brings on Zappacosta and puts Azpilicueta out of position into centre-back rather than bringing on his centre-back. And I can understand why fans are getting frustrated with him. On paper, it's a very good season. I think you said to Chelsea fans at the start of the season, you'll finish third and you'll be in the Europa League final. I think a lot of people would have took it. It's the way they've got there. I think people have got a problem with, and the way that Loftus-Cheek and Hudson-Odoi is seen as their best prospects, haven't got that much game time. But Sarri's going to have to start playing the youth because this transfer ban has obviously been upheld. Since we'd last done the show, the appeal's been rejected. So if Hazard is off, he's obviously got Pulisic coming in from Dortmund. So Hazard's already replaced to an extent, but there's players out of contract. Giroud's out of contract. David Luiz out of contract. You can replace them, I suppose, with Curtis Zouma and Tammy Abraham. You've got Reece James at Wigan, who's playing very well at right back. Sarri's going to have to start using these youngsters next season. And something that might be a blessing in disguise for him. He might not like to do it. It could be a good thing, actually.
Yeah, and that Reece James is a very good player. He can also play sort of central defensive midfield and a holding role as well. They got a lot of good youngsters, and you're right. Time for them to do something. But is he the manager? Is a manager that wants to bring Higuain in a January transfer? And the man he's certainly. I think he's probably the polar opposite to Pochettino, who obviously loves to bring these young players through. Just my final word on the Europa League final was just Andy saying in the chat there, he said getting to the Europa League final and get 6,000 fans from each team is disgusting. I think it's disgusting. Also, I think sending them to Kazakhstan as well is a funny old venue, and not just because it's two English teams. I mean, they like to share it around. The World Cup's in Qatar, but I just think, to send them all the way over there, but only give them 6,000 when I think the capacity is 67,000 is a massive, massive carve up. But you know what? UEFA, FIFA, there's nothing new there. But anyway, it's been a week of miracles, as we've just discussed. I'll go through the fixture list very, very quickly for those of you that don't know it. They're all at 3:00. They're all on Sunday. It starts off. We've got Brighton Hove Albion against Manchester City. We've got Burnley against Arsenal. Crystal Palace play Bournemouth. Fulham, Newcastle. Leicester City versus Chelsea. Liverpool v Wolves. Man United v Cardiff. Southampton v Huddersfield. Tottenham v Everton. The final game alphabetically is Watford against West Ham, which, as I say, we've already covered in our dedicated preview to that game. Let's be fair, right? It's all starts with Brighton Hove Albion against Man City. Whether or not do you think the miracles can continue to happen? By the miracles, I mean City losing the league, which surely they have to be favourites for now. Any chance at all, Gio, that City what Chris Hughton gets a draw or does a nasty back to the wall performance and they don't get all 3 points.
A small one. Brighton defensively are quite solid. If you look at their results, especially at home this season, they don't concede much goals. Even to the top 6, I don't think they've conceded more than twice at home. I think the only team that's put that much past them is Bournemouth. I think the rest, nobody else has really whacked them. So Hughton will do what he did to Spurs a couple of weeks ago. He'll set up very defensively and sort of say, well, what are you going to do about it? And Spurs struggled. They needed a last-minute goal from Eriksen. And Hughton will be looking at the game of City again. Hughton, if there's a few managers in the Premier League you'd imagine would want to sort of uphold integrity, if you like. And Chris Hughton's one of those managers that he'll believe, there's a few that'll be on the beach, if you like. I don't think Hughton will allow that at Brighton. He'll say, hang on, we've got a job to do here. We owe it to Liverpool to go out there and try and beat them, etc. And he'll make it difficult for City. I know a City fan. She did a video for us, and she was saying that they're very nervous about this one. They're not looking forward to it. They're a bit more worried than they should be, if you like, because they don't think City have been playing that well recently. Like, they didn't think they played that well against Leicester, etc. There are a few big players are just not turning up. David Silva's looked like age is catching up with him for the second half of the season. Fernandinho's injured for the weekend. De Bruyne has been back in training, but he's been iffy this season, if you like, as well. I think they'll do it, but I think it'll be a very difficult game, Gonzo.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a situation, actually. Why not? Not in the same sort of dramatic, miraculous things. I could see Man City only getting a draw, just because, as you say, they started to get desperate and they started to do a lot more long shots. They will just sit loads of men behind the ball. The Brighton fans, to a certain extent, will have a party, old carnival atmosphere. It's a nice stadium. It is a nice stadium. The beer's nice. The pies are nice. It's a nice place to go. They're going to be happy they got another season in the Premier League. And the longer it goes on, the more nervous that Man City get. However, I can see a situation where they don't win, but Liverpool don't capitalise, which takes us on to, I'm going to go that way. It's not in the order, but I'm going to go Liverpool-Wolves, mate. What do you see happening in this one?
2 weeks ago, I would have fancied Wolves. I would have. I like Wolves. Every time they play a top 6 side, I back them to win. And I've reaped the rewards, if you like, particularly at home to Arsenal and Man United. But Wolves are guaranteed 7th now. They're guaranteed 7th. So what we've just seen against Liverpool, against Barcelona, I mean, it's difficult to not see Liverpool turning up and doing the same thing again to Wolves this one. I've also seen Wolves play rubbish this season. Okay, now while they've had a good season and finished 7th, I've seen them get beat by Huddersfield. But they tend to turn up against the top 6, and you do wonder. There's a couple of players in that squad. You've got to remember, there's a couple of Wolves players that are trying to stay in the Portuguese squad for the UEFA League of Nations in the summer. Raul Jimenez is probably in there, but strike partner Jota might not be in the Portuguese squad, so he's in good form, but he needs to stay in good form in order to try and keep his place in that league. I think he'll be all right. I think it'll be a tough one. The one thing I'm looking forward to this weekend, Gonzo, is that this is the first time for as long as I can remember City and Liverpool play at the same time. So Liverpool could score early, and that will dramatically change the mood over at Brighton versus City, because everyone in that stadium will know as soon as that goal goes in what's happened. Likewise, the other way around, if City score early, Anfield will know about it. But the difference is we go into the game with all the pressure on City. As soon as before the whistle kicks off, pressure's not on Liverpool because City are top, aren't they? So it's a case of, well, if you win, there's nothing we can do about it. But if Liverpool score, then they leapfrog City in the live table, if you like, and that's going to make it very, very interesting. And I'm looking forward to keeping an eye on. I'll be watching the Watford West Ham game. I'll be certainly keeping an eye on what's happening in between those two grounds. But I think Liverpool will win, Gonzo. But I think they're going to have to score more than once in order to win the game.
Yeah, you're going to 3 screens, aren't we, for this one? What I do think is the sort of psychological thing about it is I think City can lose the league and be absolutely devastated. I think if it goes City beat Brighton and Liverpool also win and City win the league, I think Liverpool, whilst they'll be disappointed, I don't think you're talking about devastation. I don't think it's quite a shrug of the shoulders, but I think they look forward and they think, okay, well, we're in the Champions League. They'll know they've done well. And they've probably known for the last 5 games, if you like, that City were likely to win it. That they were wanting City or needing City to slip up. So I think the mindset is a little bit different in terms of, as you say, that's another reason for the pressure being more on Manchester City, whose season literally will be over. In many respects, if Liverpool don't win the league, they still have the biggest prize yet to go for. Although Liverpool have not won the league for years and years and years, and they won the Champions League in 2006. They'll certainly, I certainly, well, if the European Cup is not the pinnacle of club football, then what is? Surely it can't be a domestic. Surely it trumps a domestic trophy. Is my point on it, really. But anyway, it's gonna be really, really interesting. As I say, I think we'll all need 3 screens to keep our eye on that one. Yeah, as I say, I can almost see both teams slipping up here. But we've been a remarkable season, absolutely wonderful from both teams. And if Liverpool do finish second with 1 loss, that's absolutely remarkable. We'll move on now just quickly to the second game, which is Burnley against Arsenal. Arsenal are in terrible form, as I'm sure you know, in the league, Geo. I think they've lost let me just double check. They might have lost the last 4. No, okay, lost. They've not won in 4. Draw the last one, lost the 3 before that. Again, they can't really catch Tottenham unless Arsenal won 4-0 and Tottenham lost 5-0 or something like that, which is clearly not going to happen. It's that distraction again. Arsenal to lose this one, do you think, with their eyes on the Europa League?
Yeah, I'm going Burnley. If I was Arsenal, if I was Emery, I'd be vesting my players as well for this one. I'd be putting the kids out and saying, you know what, I'll go have a run out, because Aubameyang's got something else to worry about, and that is over in Azerbaijan.
Just quickly, an okay season for Burnley, bearing in mind they started with a distraction of the Europa League.
It's a good season, I think. It's a good season for Burnley. I think staying up is a very realistic thing for them to do, and it's what they've done.
Absolutely. A little bit of pride in this one, actually, as Crystal Palace and Bournemouth fight it out for, it's yeah, I mean, it's really for 12th place. There's 1 point between them. Goal difference is not going to be a factor. So if Crystal Palace lose and Bournemouth draw, Crystal Palace still finish in 12th. I think Bournemouth started this season really well. If you remember, Geo, the young lad they brought from Sheffield United, Brooks, was playing really well. Fraser was playing really well. Wilson was banging in the goals. They started the season like they were almost going to finish up where Wolves are now. It's not happened, but when you reflect on it, both Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, 12th and 13th, whichever order they finish in, pretty damn good, right?
Yeah, it's not bad for them. Palace can overtake West Ham as well, remember. If we slip up, Palace can overtake us with a win. It's just, you know, 2 million quid in the coffers for the transfer market, which will come in handy, along with Zaha's 65 million. But yeah, Bournemouth started like Wolves, finished like Brighton, didn't they? But it's just unfortunate. Injuries have really, really hindered them this season. And I think Eddie Howe will be looking at Watford in sort of kicking that's the type of season they could have had. But I think Palace will win this one.
Yeah, well, another team that can also finish 13th is Newcastle. They play Fulham, who are already relegated. Well, it's quite clear that Fulham have had a bad season with all the money that they spent. That certainly wasn't part of the plan. Sack their manager, just frittered away 100-odd million quid. That's quite clear. But Newcastle, Rafa Benitez be happy with that. Safe with a couple of games to go, wouldn't he, Gio?
Yeah, he'll be delighted with it. Scott Parker's got the job, by the way, in case you hadn't seen.
No, I didn't know.
He was confirmed today. Scott Parker's now the permanent Fulham manager. So good luck to him. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on next season. But that's sort of giving Fulham a bit of a boost in recent weeks, Parker. So, but is it a case of, are we going to always see the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer effect where the players go, well, you got the job now, see you later, we're off on holiday and we'll see you in August. So I think Newcastle will win this one.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one, we've got Well, it's Leicester and Chelsea, basically. Now, the interesting dynamic here is, obviously, we've already discussed the Europa League, is the third and the fourth place. As you said in our last Premier League preview, Geo, the fourth place has a qualifier for the Champions League, so you don't automatically go into the group stage. It's actually quite early as well, as I recall from previous seasons. Almost as soon as the domestic season starts, the qualifiers start. So it's a tough one because people aren't necessarily fit. They've just come off pre-season, and it can be quite impactful on your on the start to your Premier League season. So Chelsea are going to want to win, but Leicester are going to win as well, because whilst they can't finish seventh, there is quite a difference in the number of positions where they can finish. I mean, they can drop down. What can they can drop down to, or they can go up and leapfrog Everton into eighth, mate. So opinions on this one? Any predictions?
I think it'll be a draw. I don't think either team will be overly fussed by this. While Chelsea can finish third, it'll be helpful. But both of these teams, if they win the Europa League or the Champions League, Spurs and Chelsea, they can go straight into the group stages as like a prize for their win. So the fourth place in the league might not have to do the whole qualifier thing. It depends how they get on their finals and stuff. But I think Chelsea will sort of given up. I think they've given up with the league for the last couple of weeks, to be honest, but somehow managed to climb from fifth to third in the process of giving up. Remarkable, really. But Leicester are working hard. I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be a boring game, this one.
Yeah, I mean, very, very patchy, for intermittent form, maybe I'd call it, Leicester. I don't know. They're just so hard to read, these ones. And whilst Leicester can climb another place or two, I don't think he's that bothered. I think he's been offered a lot of money for next season, Brendan Rodgers. So I don't think the additional $2 million per place is going to come into play for him now. As I understand it, he's been offered in excess of $100 million to spend in the next window to join the club. So who knows? I'm pretty sure he's already focusing on that. Now, we've got Manchester United against Cardiff. Again, trying to drum up a bit of interest in this. Manchester United's form has been awful. They've only won one in their last five, and that was 5 games ago. They can get fifth, basically, and they can't drop down anymore. They can get fifth. Cardiff are already relegated. I don't know if you know, but Manchester United, they confirmed Phelan as their assistant manager for the next 3 years. So I'm not sure that will make an awful lot of difference to them, because Phelan's been there with Solskjaer anyway, and the form has been absolutely terrible. But it does show that they are planning ahead for next season. I do believe they've secured the signing of, I remember the geezer's name now, young promising player from Swansea.
It's not done yet. It's Matty James you're thinking of, and it's not done yet, but it looks like it's a target at least.
Yeah, so they're planning for next season. With that in mind, does it matter whether they finish 6th or 7th? Probably not. Listen, doesn't matter about your predictions, really. Just brief for your opinions on Man United, probably, mate.
I think they need to win, actually, just to stop a meltdown after the game, if you like. Because if they don't win at home to Cardiff, there could be like pandemonium. People will be getting, they will though, won't it? People will be thinking, this is, how bad is this? So they need to win. I think they need to sort of give fans something to say, hang on, stick with us, we're trying this, we're trying that. And I think Ole can make a statement on Sunday and bench Pogba or something. I think he needs to do a couple of things. No Ashley Young, no Paul Pogba, none of that. Put in a team, try and get players, I don't know, under the age of 30 only in that team. So bin off Alexis Sanchez as well. Start Rashford, Lukaku, Luke Shaw, McTominay. If we keep hearing about Greenwood, well, let's see him. He's banging in goals for the under-23s. He's one of the most sought-after youngsters in the country. Well, where is he? Get him on the pitch against Cardiff at home in the last game of the season. Give the fans something. He needs to do something on Sunday. So while there's nothing to play for on paper, there's a lot to play for with the support of the crowd.
Yeah, funny old one, really. I don't know what's happened. That club, as I said, scratch records. Woodward has got a lot to answer for everything that's happened there, but it certainly didn't help Ferguson and David Gill leaving at the same time. They are so far behind now; it is unbelievable. We're not going to see them get back anytime soon. Just quickly before we go to the next game, Andy in the chat has asked, "Is Rafa staying?" No, in reference to us saying that Newcastle had a good season. I would imagine he will. He's quite loyal, Rafa Benitez. And I think he's settled up there. He does. He's not one of these players like Mourinho that moves into a hotel. When Rafa moves somewhere, his wife works in. I remember when she lived in Liverpool. When they lived in Liverpool, she worked in a local charity shop and got involved in loads of local things. Apparently, they've done exactly the same in Newcastle as well. So I think if he can stay, and Mike Ashley for once shows a bit of ambition because he can't sell it, he might as well. Then I think if you're going to invest in Rafa Benitez, then I think Ashley's investment is safe because he's too good a manager to take anybody down. And the penultimate game that we're going to discuss is on the South Coast. I hope it's a sunny day on the South Coast. Southampton will be entertaining Huddersfield. And I hope it's a sunny day because I hope they have a nice day out at Huddersfield. Because I tell you what, Gio, they've done themselves proud over the last couple of seasons, Huddersfield.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. This I want Huddersfield to win. I just want them to go out with a little bit of glory. It's a strange one. There's Southampton, as you've seen against us, they're beat up. They're sort of in relaxing positions. So I think this is a good opponent for Huddersfield. It's a pity it's not at their own place, just so they could have like a party almost, if you like. This would be another boring draw, I think, for me, Gonzo. To be fair, Huddersfield got their party last week, didn't they? They drew with Manchester United. So there was something.
That was funny. That was funny.
so they might get 2 draws in a row, but I hope they get something. And I've really warmed to Huddersfield over the last 2 seasons, to be honest with you. Next season, when they're in the Championship, I won't be supporting them or anything. I'll be sort of keeping an eye out for them, and I'll be hoping to see them bounce back. I just hope they don't do a Sunderland, for example, and just keep sliding. But good club, not a good game to watch on Sunday, though.
Absolutely, which takes us to our final game, which is a Tottenham Hotspur, of course, heroes in Europe this week. They entertain Everton, who again are going to be vying for those positions. Tottenham, unfortunately, are a fantastic team when they play away from home. They're going to be heading back to the Albatross Dome, and probably, obviously, with one eye on that Champions League final that was most unexpected. We've already discussed Tottenham in this, but they'll obviously be looking for reasons that we discussed about Premier League placements and whatnot. Either you think that's the case or you think they're going to save themselves to Champions League. But the one thing we haven't discussed, Gio, is Everton. A big spend they had in the summer. They engaged in a bit of naughtiness, I think it's fair to say, in the way they probably tried to prize Silva from Watford. In the end, resulted in his form dipping completely. So Watford actually got rid of him. Eventually, they got their man. They backed him. To the point where, as we discussed earlier, they took Watford's best player from them, spent money in other areas as well. How do you view Everton's season, mate?
Good. Nothing amazing. If you're giving them a grade, you'd give them a B, wouldn't you? Solid, but there's a room for a little bit better. They'll be a bit disappointed not to get 7th, I imagine, just like Leicester, West Ham, Watford, Bournemouth. We will all have gone into this thinking, you know what, we can be the best of the rest. And what are you laughing at?
Andy Walsh says 12-0 Everton.
But
he's got that goal difference in mind.
I think this is the Andre Gomez game, isn't it? Andre Gomez is off the Spurs, so it's old club against his new club, if you like, on Sunday. But I think Everton's got a lot to build on for next season. There's a few clubs out there who need to start shifting deadwood and lowering the age of their squad, if you like, including their own one. Everton don't really have that issue. They've already spent big in a couple of areas, and I think one player they might lose this summer is Idrissa Gueye. I think he might finally get his move to a bigger club or PSG, really. But if he does, he's gonna be going for big bucks, and that's already sort of says, well, there you go. Here's a shed load of cash. Go get a replacement and spend some. They can get a striker. They can finally sort their striker position, which has been an issue for about 18 months now. It'll be a good season, but when you look at them, I look at how well they've done this season. I think they've done good, and they've done it without a goal scorer. Wolves have got 2, and they're not that far ahead of them. So if ever can go get a striker, I think they'll finish 7th next year.
Yeah, that is key, isn't it? It's been quite a while since they thought Czech Tosin, who Allardyce brought in, was going to be the one there, but that's certainly not been the case. We're going to wrap this up in a second. Just very quickly, we've got my mate Mikey is in the chat. He said he's missed the start of this show. What were you doing, mate? Why would you miss this pivotal and crucial show? But he said, just a quick prediction for us for next season. Us, he means West Ham. Mikey, we've got so many players that we're being linked with at the moment. But I'm not gonna listen. We'll do predictions all the way through, and we'll cover it. But I'm not gonna, leave you hanging and not do a spoiler. If it was now, I would say we'd finish 9th next season. But that's without knowing who we're going to buy or who's injured or who's not. Who knows? Anything could happen, mate. Mikey, honestly, mate, we could have a new manager. We could have new owners. We could have a new carpet. Anything could happen to change what may happen next season. And also it depends on what all these other clubs that we've been discussing at the moment are going to do, because Geo was just talking about Everton, striker. I'm pretty sure Everton, Leicester and Wolves are going to spend really, really big in the close season, which is going to make it even harder. I'm not sure Palace will spend hugely. I think Bournemouth will. I think they'll spend, because they always do. Will they spend 100 million? No, but I think they'll invest another 50 very wisely and buy some young players from within that. Southampton will be better. Newcastle will be better. It's going to be a very, very interesting season next season. But Gio, just because we're going to wrap this up, we won't be doing any more of these Premier League previews clearly until the season starts again. Do just one final question for you, mate. The gap between the top and then the 3rd, 4th, 5th, so on and so forth. It looks like the Premier League is almost split into 4 or 5 different leagues. Can you see anyone getting near to Manchester City and Liverpool next season?
Spurs.
Really?
Apparently, Pochettino's got money for the summer. How much money, I don't know, but if he's got decent cash,
that would be terrible.
It would be, but they need to sort out a couple of their own players first. Toby Alderweireld and Christian Eriksen's contracts are in trouble. Alderweireld's got 25 million release clause, I think. Christian Eriksen's got 1 year left to go. They need to sort them out first. But a good business at Spurs this summer, and they could be up there. We've just witnessed it. They've got, something. They've got the best manager in the league.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's up there.
He's always got the Champions League final with Victor Wanyama in midfield.
I'm not calling him crap at all. I was going to say, I thought earlier on in the season that Pep was a cut above anybody else and everybody else, particularly just before Mourinho getting sacked. And I looked at him, whilst I didn't think United would be this bad, I did think that someone could come in at Man United and improve them a bit. I did look at it, and I think I said to somebody, actually, I just think Guardiola's just that much better than everybody else. And, Mourinho's in there with another bunch who are much of a muchness. I've changed that. I do actually think that Klopp and Pochettino are with Guardiola up there. I do think there are 3 exceptional managers in the Premier League, and Pochettino is certainly one of them.
Pep was better than them a year ago, 2 years ago, but it changes, doesn't it? Managers have form as well. Managers do have sort of form, or they have a livelihood at the top, and it's not very long they stay at the very top. And it feels like Pep's had his time top the perch, and I'm not saying he's crap or anything, but I just feel like Klopp and Pochettino have sort of, perhaps their tactics have evolved, whereas Pep's still using the same tactics as he has been throughout his career. And I just feel like Pochettino and Klopp are maybe better at utilising what they've got, etc.
Well, yeah, I think the other thing we talk about spending. Actually, I know Tottenham are interested in a guy called Ndombele, who's very, very good. But I would fear it if I'd seen him play. See, West Ham been linked with Maxi Gomez for such a long time. Actually, I can see Spurs nicking him. I can see that happening, which of course will be, beating a gnashing of teeth and wailing from West Ham fans. I can't join in that because I'm not seeing. You can't miss what you haven't seen. In fact, I've seen Ndombele play more than I've seen Maxi Gomez, which is. I'll tell you what, Jovic Look good though, Geo, your man there, didn't he? So yeah, look, anything can happen. Anyway, it's not a transfer show. We probably should wrap it up there. Any final thoughts on this Premier League season? Not West Ham, obviously that's a separate video.
No, it's been a good one. Full of controversy, which I enjoy. Full of goals, shocks, everything. And then of course we've got VAR next season, so that'll be interesting as well.
That is. You're right.
This is our last Premier League games without VAR.
Yeah, absolutely.
Historical.
I don't mind. I just wanted to put it on the screens, but again, we can't talk about everything now. We got a whole summer to talk about stuff when me and Gio are scratching our heads thinking, what should we do a video about? We will be back. We've got our review from the Watford game coming up, and I'm sure we'll be discussing a few other things in that as well. And we've got we're doing a cup of tea next week, probably, Gio, won't we?
Yeah, and I want to do a team of the season type show as well, and a non-top 6 team of the season, which I find more interesting than when you include Sterling example, because it's a bit of a shooting. So I like the non-ones.
Yeah, a little diamond in the rough one. Yeah, we've got to do that. I'm going to start uploading a little bit more on this channel, just be like little 2-minute videos during the day. If I've read a link with someone, we're going to do transfer updates. We're going to try and keep you. I was going to say entertained. You can't be entertained. You should be watching Game of Thrones or something like that. That's probably what Mikey was doing earlier and why he missed the start of the show. Thanks for everybody that joined us in the live chat. Thanks to everybody that watched. Hello, Steve, you've joined at the end of the show, mate. You can. Well, not rewind, but you can go back to the start. It's YouTube. You can watch what you want. Thanks for sticking with us all season. Thank you. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little series that we've done. We'll be back next season with a lot more. Sounds like I'm saying goodbye, or it's the Oscars or something. It's really not. You'll see us again in a couple of days. Until next time, we look forward to seeing you.